Well, we just had a storm come in and just completely wipe us out, wipe me out. There's another person underneath there. I had to move this towards the center because the rain was coming in sideways, but too late. My hammock filled up with water. Right now I'm standing in just puddles of water. Everything underneath this is just completely soaked. All my clothes are soaked, even with rain gear on. My hammock filled up like a bucket with water, and yeah, I tied it off to the rafter right there. And it's more in the center, but it's almost useless just because pretty well useless because everything's just soaked. So I mean, I'm contemplating getting out the tarp, but what's the point? Everything's already soaked. I guess I'd make like a lean-to in here or something. But I mean, the worst of it's already over. Everything's just soaked. I'm not gonna have a good night's sleep at all. Yeah. These were my dry clothes. I am more. Oh well. Hey, good morning, everyone. This is, I guess I could have made that shot look a little more realistic if I would have start carrying around a dummy with me, and I could stick the dummy in the hammock. That way you guys would think I'm actually in the hammock. And just an idea. Maybe I'll pick up a mannequin somewhere. But anyway, guys, last night was a rough night, and make sure my mic's on straight here and I'm not covering it up with my chin. I think that's okay. Last night was a rough night. It rained hard, and let me sit up here. It rained hard, and I was right thinking that this right up above me here, up there, would be enough coverage because this is a big cement slab, and with a big cement slab, and I thought this would be plenty of roof coverage, and it wasn't. So what ended up happening, I think, is the rain was coming down so hard, and the wind was so strong with lots of lightning, that it was agitating the water and sending up like a sea mist from the water. You know, like when you splash water, little droplets come up. And not only was it getting blown from the sideways wind blowing in the rain this way, but it was also getting that effect being so close to the river here because the wind was coming this way. So me and another guy that I couldn't communicate too well with, just language barrier, we had to sit in this far corner. But I first started, let me show you where I first started. I don't remember everything I showed on the video yesterday, but I was between these two right here. So I've changed the direction of this hammock a few times. It's back over here just because I wanted to open up the slab for any fishermen that might come in. But I was between these two poles. So that pole where it was tied off to, and this pole right here. Thinking that was the best location because I'd be tucked back here in the corner, and this tree would give me the extra little bit of shelter that I would need right here. This is Australian pine, and also it gives me a little more, a little more coverage from the road. And well, as you can see right down there on the ground, That's a lot of water. Bro, that because everything down here got, and also on this side, get you guys dizzy? More, lots of water there. So this whole slab got just drenched, as you can see. So I went from this corner. I used that as the pivot, so I kept it more or less tied off to that and ran over, sorry, to this one and just, oops, excuse me, sorry. No, I used this one as the pivot and ran it to dead center over there. But that's, even then, it was like, by that time my hammock filled up with water. This whole inside was just filled with water. Everything was soaked. The clothing I was wearing was soaked even before I could get on my raincoat, but even then, all the clothes I was wearing, they got soaked. So all my clothes got wet. So everything was wet. Even being in the middle didn't help, because being dead center in the middle, I mean, you think that's not a big enough opening for it, but it did. So me and this other guy, this was the only kind of dryish corner was right here, and a very small section of it. We just kind of hung out here, you know, waiting out the storm, being wet and miserable. And I mean, it wasn't cold, but it wasn't like, last night wasn't super warm after laying in, you know. Anyway, I didn't get much sleep. It was a little rough night. I've had a lot worse though, so I'm not going to put this down even in the top 100. Definitely, yeah, I'm not going to put it in the top 100 because this was just wet and miserable. It was, the miserable part wasn't that bad anyway. Meaning when you have something to, okay, how do I mean that? Okay, when you have something to compare it to, right? So all the times I've been in the past, I've been in a lot of situations in the past, especially in your learning phase of what to do and what not to do. And the more you learn these things, and a lot of times they're very bad situations, the more you learn what you did last time to ease the situation of its hardness, you know, how to lessen the misery, you know. So you kind of remember little tricks and stuff. That last night, it was like a little too late. The only thing I could have prevented it first off is I checked the weather. It said lightning showers, and it wasn't really supposed to even rain till about like 3 in the morning, right? And it was only showing sprinkling for a few hours. And so I checked the weather. So, and I have a bad habit of not doing that. So it was only supposed to be a lightning shower. I also took the preventative measure of being under this and away from the actual coast. So if I would have been on the coast, which I was looking for trees, it would have been way worse. So the fact that I was here, away from the coast, was, you know, a smart move. Although the wind was coming this way, I still wouldn't want to be on the coast. And the only thing I didn't do was put up the tarp because, well, roof. And so, anyway, yeah, so comparing last night to the situations in the past, it wasn't that bad. It just wasn't it was not the best nights, and it was not the worst nights, you know. Okay, I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling on, so let's go ahead and end this. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to just take advantage of being right here, and because I didn't get much sleep, I'm just going to kind of relax here. I'm not going to plan on doing much pedaling, and I'm going to try and edit the video from yesterday. I couldn't edit because everything was soaked, and I didn't want my equipment to get soaked too. So now that it's dry a little, I'm going to get to working, like always, and yeah, and just maybe take a nap. I need a nap. Hi guys, good morning. And yeah, what time is it? Is that what you said? It is 11:34. All right. and get showered. It's a bucket bath, but it's still good. All right, let's go. Excuse me. All right. Unrated showers. Let's see what's over here. Nice little spot. So it's a little late in the day to actually do anything. So I'm just gonna, it's 5:16 right now. I mean, I could just get on. Everything's packed up. I packed it up just in case, you know, it's like, I didn't necessarily want to leave it just hanging over there, you know, hanging, you know, where anybody could go through it and stuff like that. I mean, this town's a safe town. It's just, I just packed it up, you know, just to pack it up. Anyway, I don't think this was, yeah, never mind. I'm just gonna hold the camera. The dang thing doesn't want to go into facial tracking, so I'll just leave it how it is. So I'm just gonna go hunt down something to eat. I found some nachos that I really liked the other day. I'll probably go get that again. Sit on the beach for a bit, and then probably just camp at the same spot, as long as I don't have weather like I did last night. But regardless, that was still probably the best spot to be. I couldn't imagine being in one of these smaller ones down here, like, you know, like the ones that she's under, or, yeah, any of these, you know. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, even though the breeze was coming from this way, the wind, it still, I wouldn't have been wanting to be on the shoreline here. So, yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to go look for something to eat, and that's about it. So something I just realized is all those street vendors were for National Day yesterday, so they're not there today. So I'm looking what there's here to eat, and then I'm going to decide what I'm going to actually do. So. I got a few vendors to actually choose from. Fries. Well, the day is basically over. I had myself a bowl of beef noodle soup back there at one of the vendors. The selection is not super big because, well, lunchtime is the bigger serving times, but that was great. Noodle soup regardless. The sun's basically going to be setting in like 45 minutes. I could get on the road and actually start pedaling if I wanted to. I'd have about 45 minutes to pedal and kind of search out a new camp area, or I could go for the old time-tested area, you know, just get myself some snacks and some stuff and just relax, possibly at the same spot. Although these beaches are a little more laid back. The weather is not calling for rain, but it wasn't calling for rain either last night. So, you know, it's one of those things where it was only supposed to sprinkle. So, yeah, I got my ass handed to me last night. So I'm not sure if I want to actually Hey, hey. So, I mean, this is a beautiful beach and all, you know, like, and actually, this one right here, this one that she's sitting at, was one I was actually tempted at actually sleeping at last night. Because it has a low roof. So I might have not gotten wet under that one. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm just trying to determine. I'll probably just go ahead and throw up my hammock, possibly at the same spot. That was very peaceful there if it wasn't for the rain. And maybe I'll try and get to enjoying it tonight. But yeah, it's a late day, late start. Maybe I'll just hit it early in the morning, around noon. It is beautiful here though. So I must have passed right by him. He was here. The vendors were here. I just went by him the first time. So the nachos that I got last time, yeah, basically cut this bag open right here and just put like fresh vegetables and hamburger meat and stuff like that. So, but he was all sold out of the kebabs last time, so I'm gonna get them this time. I don't know. The nachos just were super good for just junking food, but I mean it's a mixture of junk food but with healthy ingredients on top of it. So I have to get them. They were too good yesterday. So yeah, you see, cut the bag open and putting the hamburger meat, the fresh tomatoes, the onions, and they were super good yesterday. And there's cilantro. Then I don't know exactly what all the sauces are, but they're spicy, so they're really good. Anyway, that's what I'm going for. And we got benches to match them here. All right, let's see. Look at this. Okay, let's see if I can do this without zooming in. Nope, I didn't. I'll get that right one day. There you go. I just need to lift it a little so that my head's, there you go. I got enough head room in the video. So yeah, I think these are actually normally just 10 ringgit, but look at this. It's like all that goodness. I just don't want to focus here. Here. It will if I do this. Haha, fooled ya. It looks like a goopy mess, which it kind of is, but it's super addicting. So, yeah, like it's hamburger meat, onions, tomatoes, all different types of weird sauce, like spicy. I'm gonna say avocado maybe. Yeah, I can taste the avocado in it. But yeah, on these cheese chips, I don't know, I had one yesterday and it was super good. I didn't have one of these. These are like 5 each, so the whole thing was only 15 ringgit. And yeah, now I can junk food out before I go to bed. No, I'm not gonna try and push myself. I'm in paradise, right? When you start acting like I'm in paradise. Got lost. Looking at cameras, just checking out a bird flying by. All right. Well, and my go-to drink. Someone wanted to know what these taste like. They're like a watered-down Sprite, almost, kind of. You know, not like super sugary like Sprite is, but enough sugar to be good. I like it because it's supposed to be more like a Gatorade. It's I'm not going to say it's healthy for you, but it's not as bad as soda. It has potassium in it and some B vitamins. I mean, probably not a lot to make a difference, but just enough to actually make you feel a little better, having some B vitamin in your system. And I don't know, it just has a little bit of a unique flavor to it that I can't quite describe. But the closest I would say that it kind of tastes like is like a Sprite with some type of after kick to it. I just really like them. I've tried the other ones, the Revive and stuff, just not as good. Anyway, I'm just gonna relax today. This is gonna be a short video. I'll do some type of ramble maybe. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now anyway. And instead of looking at my ugly face, check this out. This is a very nice place, guys. So if you're ever dropping by, you know, lots of family people out here, and security. I've noticed some guys walking around with like a fluorescent orange camouflage, you know, like I don't know what division that would be, but they've been walking the beach and stuff. We're probably maybe only here for the National Day, and this is the day after National Day. So, and it's still fairly busy. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna eat my food, enjoy, and watch a little YouTube. I think Planet Doug has a new one. I'm gonna relax and watch. All right, guys, peace out. So the day's over, and it looks like everybody's gone home. I got the whole beach to myself now, except for there's one camper way down there with his family, but they're just camping here in the pondoks, the gazebos there, and they're usually during the day they're all filled up. People are, you know, well, are in them. So I'm thinking I could actually go all the way back to that one. That was a perfectly good spot last night, and be by the relaxing rivers, or the other alternative is just you know, hang out right here, set up my hammock, maybe in that one or even this one, you know, just tie it off, you know, tie it off to this pole. The other one feels maybe a little sturdier than that pole, and yeah, and do what basically they're doing down there. They're camping. He's here with his family. I mean, yeah, he's got the tent. He's got the hammock set up. He's got a nice little fire going. You know, he's been here during National Day too, so he's been here for a day or two. But that leaves one thing, is I kind of lucked out yesterday. If I would have gotten hit with that storm, which, like I said, they're not really calling for a storm tonight at all, but they weren't calling us for a storm yesterday. So it's like one of those things. It's like I got a chance here, but you know, early tomorrow morning, I think they're calling for sprinkles. So like, I don't know. I think it's I'll have to check again, but I think it's like all the way up to like 3 o'clock in the morning, something like 12, 1, 2, and 3. So like 4 hours is 20% chance, but yeah, I could do that. Or I could just go back to the time-tested area that I was at yesterday, and that was a beautiful spot. I just didn't have a chance to actually enjoy it until it stopped raining the next day. So I could probably enjoy it tonight. Or, like I said, this one's very well constructed. It's got kind of like, it looks like it's got the tongue and groove. Not quite a tongue and groove, but the same type of construction. So, I mean, yeah, that's well built. I could put my hammock on this, string it over to that side, and just kind of take over this one now that everybody's kind of cleared out and went home. So yeah, plenty of options for camping, guys. If you're ever down here, you know, if it's busy during the day, just give it a little while, you know. And yeah, I might do that. All right, guys, I'm gonna say peace out. I'm gonna say good night, y'all. I probably have enough to go ahead and just kind of throw a little quick video together and send it out there into the ether. And that way I start with a clean slate tomorrow when I get up, pack up, and hit the road again. So this is a beautiful place, and I'm very glad I came out and enjoyed it. But now it's time for the hobo to get hoboing once again. Good night, y'all. Well, tried and tested is boring. Yeah, I could go back over there and I probably have a very good, enjoyable night, but this is new here, so I'm gonna stay here just to have a little bit of an adventure, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I decided, you know what, why go back, you know? This will make for more interesting TV. This will fill in the gaps where I need to be filled in. So I'll go ahead and set up in this pondoks, I think it's called here in Malaysia, or gazebo. So yeah, I'm gonna choose this one just because it looks a little more sturdy in the construction, and the legs are actually closer together this way, diagonal. And I'm gonna sleep diagonal with my head facing the water. But if I do that, then the zipper's on this side, and I don't really necessarily like the zipper on this side because, but that's okay, who cares which side the zipper's on, right? It's not like I'm going to be leaning out to pee. Now some people actually do that in a Hennessy hammock. I was watching one video and the guy says, I just unzip it a little, lean out the side. So I've done that before, and I don't really feel like carrying a pee bottle on me. The most common thing that people that live in tents and stuff like that is to have a pee bottle. And I had one when I was actually living in a tent in Tennessee, because in winter time you don't want to just unzip the, every time you have to pee, especially in winter when the cold actually constricts your bladder more. You got to pee more often. But so it's like you unzip if you're unzipping the tent all the time, you're letting out all the hot air. So you carry a nice sized Gatorade bottle or something. I don't know how some of the truckers do it. They use like small mouthed you know, like bottles, and you know, I'm talking about truck drivers, and they fill them up, and when they get somewhere they just dump them all. But you really want to get like a Gatorade one that has a big mouth, you know, that way you don't end up missing and hitting yourself. And I know that, hey, this is the reality of camp life. So a pee bottle, some people are like, well, yeah, and after you're done with the pee bottle, you can actually keep it in your sleeping bag with you to keep you warm. I'm like, no, that's not true. First off, I'm going to bust that myth. What's coming out of you is the exact same temperature of your body already. So you're not going to warm your body up by having a bottle of pee on you, because it's the same temperature because it just came out of your body. So no, you don't need to cuddle up to a pee bottle to stay warm. Listen, I've heard it several times from some of even my favorite survivalists have said that. But honestly, there's just some stuff that are just straight bull. You know, it's like one of them's drinking your urine. Cody Lundberg finally, I remember him saying something about, no, you don't drink your urine, right? I'm like, finally someone said it, because the salt level in urine is like 2 to 3 times as much as the salt water in the sea. And if you drink the salt water of the sea, you're going to end up, you know, going crazy and eventually dying, you know, from, you know, you're just dehydrating yourself from drinking. You don't drink salt water to try and stay hydrated. So anyway, so there's one thing about, but then again, I have my opinion about matches. You know, I don't believe that you should carry around survival matches. The thing is you get, for the same space and the same weight, like, okay, so let's say you have your matches inside one of those old, like, film canisters, right? Well, you can, for the same size that film canister is, you can just throw in a small little Bic lighter, and you're going to get 5,000 strikes out of a Bic lighter, where you're only going to get what 50 out of those lighters. So my opinion is, and don't say, hey, would a lighter get wet? No, everybody knows that once that little baby safe thing is removed, you blow on it a few times, roll it backwards to get the surface off the little ferro rod that's in there, because it's a ferro rod. Then it'll just strike up just normal. It only takes a little while to, blow, back roll, blow, back roll, and it's back on. So it getting wet's not a problem either. So and anybody that just tries it once will realize that. So what happens is something gets said to one person, it sounds right, and then that keeps going on like it's a fact when it's not practical. So now the matches is just a debate that's going on in the survival community. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to talk against it. It's just my opinion. It makes more sense to, I'm talking against it though. It makes more sense to actually have a lighter. But, that's like I said, that's a hot, not hotly contested, but it's like you have split down the middle who would rather have a lighter and who would rather have matches. Now a ferro rod, like a real ferro rod, nice big fat ferro rod with some fat wood, that easily lit fat wood. I'll definitely say that I think those should probably be in a survival kit, because I do like ferro rods. But, when it comes down to it, instant gratification comes from a lighter. So that's my opinion. Anyway, I got to get setting up on my camp, guys. So I'm going to stop blabbing for a little bit. So remember I said to have it marked with an X which side the head is on the snake skin. That way you know where your head's going to be. So my head will be on this side. My zipper will be right here, and I'll be facing the ocean, so it's perfect. I don't know what I was thinking earlier when I said that my zipper would be facing this way. I was thinking from here to here. I'm like, well, I'll just have it from here to there, That's a simple fix. But, sometimes the obvious escapes me. So that's what happened. Then, let's see. Let me see how many strides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strides. So 8 strides needs to be about chin height. Gotta keep an eye open for anything that might flatten me, and tear my my tree hugger straps. This time I'm not doing a slip knot and just wrapping it around twice. The bad part about wrapping it around twice is it's pretty well in the location it's going to be. Adjusting it up and down is not as easy if you have a slip. Like if you have it set up where you can loosen the noose a little, and okay, that's about right. And then the first knot is just like I said, the first one's just for adjustment, something to get undo real quick. Yeah, so I need to actually come over about 6 inches. Oh, by the way, for you guys that know hammocks, I do have my drip lines on, so that's one of the first things you want to set up on this. So what a drip line does is so I have them right here set up. A drip line is just so like when it's raining out, your ropes are still exposed to the rain, and what happens is the rain has a tendency to run down your line. So the tarp's not ever covering up your rope fully. so it gets soaked and it comes down, and it'll end up, well, dripping underneath. So you put one of these there, so it's just basically a drip line. It'll end up hitting this string, and then just running down the string, and it stops short from actually getting you soaked inside your hammock. So yeah, so I do have drip lines set up. All right, the moment of truth. How close am I to actually sitting on the ground? That's not too bad. I got 6 inches here. So yeah, that's doable. I'm happy with it. All right, guys, that's it. I set up my hammock, and I am completely in the dark here. You guys can't see me. So, turn on the low light setting. Okay, I'm really taking a risk on that one. I jammed the, I didn't jam it, I balancing, well, yeah, I kind of jammed the tripod in to part of the beam that might hold. One last thing I got to do is I learned my lesson from yesterday about that sideways wind. Is I'm going to have the smaller one, the stealth type, the stealth rainfly, the more stealthy, not the hex one, not the big one, but the smaller one that the hammock actually comes with, the Hennessy hammock. Like I said, the coverage is worse on this one, but there's only 2 tie-off points right here and right there, and there's only 2 tie-off points, well, outside of the main tie-off points for the ridge line. The wings only need 2 tie-off points, and these are spaced perfectly for them. And if I tie down low, like to the very bottom of it, then that should give me enough coverage from any type, from getting too wet. Anyway, I'm gonna tie it off, but I'm also gonna keep it all tied up with these bungee little straps, so it'll be above me, but I only need it to deploy it. So yeah, and the hex fly would have just probably given me too much trouble. I mean, I could pin the hex fly straight down to the ground. I could tie it off to the actual porch itself, but that's all right. I don't want to figure that out. I just want to keep it simple, stupid type thing. The KISS method, and this is the KISS method. So there you go. We're all set up for the night, more or less. I got the rainfly tied off to the same beam as, well, obviously to the same beam. Now, if I need to, I'm just gonna leave, like I said, if you can see right here, just those little Velcro straps, and just leave it up how it is. If I get hit with the same thing I did yesterday, I just had to unravel it, tie it to this pole right here, and likewise on the other side, just tie it. That's the handy thing about this one. And I'll keep all my stuff in bags like I did yesterday. That was actually what saved me from scrambling around like a chicken with my head cut off. You know, last minute panic because everything's getting soaked. At least that saved me. You know, all I had to worry was trying to reposition my hammock. But it hit so fast and so hard that like I said, this thing's more or less, the hammock's waterproof. So I learned that because it was bucketed. I mean, it was just a bucket of water in there. And so that's why I really couldn't sleep in my hammock. My clothes were already wet and stuff like this. But the rain gear kept in my body heat, and that emergency blanket I had was the first time actually using it. It's supposed to be a little bit of tougher one than the other ones are just, they tear very easy. This one's supposed to be reusable, so that means thicker. So luckily I had that. It gave me warm enough. There's an old thing. Now, like REI is a big camping store in in the United States and stuff like that, and they're kind of expensive. But the reason why they're kind of expensive is they try and carry all the top brand names, you know, like the best of the best, or I mean, the best of the best is usually only by name. But, you know, with that name comes a reputation, so your quality has to be fairly good. So it's not like they're like overpriced. It's just that they only carry expensive, excuse my language, but yeah, that's what they do, is they carry expensive crap. So, but REI started on two little shelves in a gas station. So that's all it was. A guy said, "Can I sell some camping gear here on these two shelves in your gas station?" The guy said, "Sure, why not?" And those two shelves became more shelves, and which became a store, and then became international stores. Became so many international stores that they had to start shutting down because there were too many of them. More REIs than there were hikers, you know, and campers. But with that said, the only reason I knew that little bit of knowledge is because I read it in one of their books that they wrote. So the guy that started REI and stuff like this, he also wrote some books in the very beginning about camping etiquette and different things like this. And the very early knowledge of camping is awesome. It's like getting like the early, you know, military books or Boy Scout books, and reading those, you know, before they got all generic, but. And picking through the knowledge. So some of those old camping, you know, books and stuff, you get the philosophy behind some of it. And they mentioned something which is an old philosophy, is stewing in your own swamp. And stewing in your own swamp is a really bad concept because it can get you killed. But it is a concept that was a real concept at one time. It means, so it's like the concept of a rain jacket, right? If you're wearing a rain jacket and you're doing anything slightly, you know, athletic, then you're just as wet underneath as you are on the outside. The only difference is the wet on the inside is warmer than the wet on the outside. So with that concept, that's what stewing in your own swamp is. As long as you're covered up and you're keeping your swamp warm, then you'll survive. As long as the swamp is warmer than the outside, you know. And it's a bad concept because you can only do that at a very fine temperature. You can't do that in freezing, right? You'll die doing that in freezing. And too cold of weather, you'll go into hypothermia with that concept. But there is an actual certain level, you know, at a certain, you know, temperature that is reasonable, you know. That's the old style hardcore camper, you know, that goes around with, you know, sleeping on the ground with just a wool blanket, you know, and nothing else, you know, or making a lean-to, you know. But that whole concept is not one to go by. But it still has its effect, because if you wear a rain jacket, you know. So that's what I had to do that night. You know, I had to stew in my own swamp, you know, that my wet underneath was warmer than the wet on the outside. So, yeah, guys, don't try and use that as a survival method, but you can learn that you at certain temperatures, as long as you're, I wouldn't want to say bundled right, but as long as you're layered kind of right and stuff, then your inside swamp will stay warmer and you can survive that way. Not recommended at all. Actually, highly crazy, because the only reason you would know that information is through trial and error. You know, at what temperature does it become a death sentence? And trial and error is not a good way to learn stuff, because if you're wrong, you know, it can cost you a lot. So, anyway, guys, yeah, that was mentioned in that book, and last night it jogged that brain cell. So that whole ramble was just all about REI, that book that was written by that guy, and it was mentioned in that, which reminded me of yesterday. So that's a ramble for you. All right, guys, that's where I'm going to end it. I'm going to call it a night. I probably more than enough made up for all the fluff that I put in tonight. But I'm going to say peace out, guys. This is my new spot for sleeping, and I'm pretty well ready. I'm just going to put on my clean clothes and call it a night. See you tomorrow. Bye.